All right. So this would be a little bit of gameplay coverage that I did of Wuthering Waves. For like the last, I don't know, maybe 2 months, I've been seeing ads all over like Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. Not really ads, but I guess people posting videos of like characters from Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and they are interacting with some anime character, like a 3D model. And I'm like, yo, what is going on? What am I looking at? And people were cutting up little clips and edits of everything, and I'm super like intrigued trying to figure out what's going on. And so I reached out to one of my friends who actually plays Wuthering Waves, and I guess he had taken a break, so he had no idea what it was I was talking about. And one of my other friends who doesn't play it at all kind of came in and let me know, hey, they're doing some kind of promotional thing where I guess you can play as the characters and have like some kind of continuation or side story or something in regards to Cyberpunk Edge Runners, as well as like see it through Wuthering Waves. And I was like, okay, so that seems like it fits the best. And I was like, oh, that seems super cool. So my game plan was to actually hop on Wuthering Waves, get to the Cyberpunk Edge Runners part of the game, see what everything has to offer, and see how I would enjoy it all. But honestly, I just did not get that far. I played maybe an hour at most, probably. And I'd say I got like the same distance in the game that I probably had gotten into Genshin Impact when it first released, right? To that point where like the game's telling you, oh, hey, if you want to continue to level up and get through the actual story, then you need to go level up at some side missions. And I was like, okay, so I'm done, all right? Because the Cyberpunk Edge Runners, they were all kind of labeled. I think Cyberpunk Edge Runners was like the like one like it was some side mission, but in order to get access to that side mission, you have to do a certain amount of work in the main story mission, and I had just not unlocked that at the time. So there was like no point in me actually pushing to get to that point, realizing that it was going to take a little bit longer than I had planned. Plus, I was playing solo. I don't have friends who actively play these kinds of games, so I'm just running it, kind of, throwing stuff at the wall. All in all, because of that, I did want to talk a little bit about Wuthering Waves because I've never really played the game before. I played Genshin, like I said, when it first came out. Took a little bit of a break, came back, took a break, came back, blah, 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 blah. Maybe one day I'll do a video on it. But other than that, yeah, I never really played much else. I played maybe like a minute of Tower of Fantasy, maybe like a legit 60 seconds of Tower of Fantasy. Like I remembered, I believe, making a character, walking around, and then getting off of the game. But other than that, I don't play a lot of gacha games. In theory, the idea seems pretty cool, but I just don't want to, spend real money on character skins and characters. I mean, I've done it in plenty of other games. Hell, I've even done it a little bit in Genshin, but I kind of just, I was done. All right, I was tired of doing it and did not want Wuthering Waves to become that next whatever, just so that I could get, characters from Cyberpunk. So I was just like, if I don't get them for free in X amount of time, then I'll just consider it done and call it quits. And sure enough, after getting some base ideas of the game down and kind of feeling how everything feels, I was like, oh yeah, I'm done here, right? There's not much else for me to do. So I figured I could probably talk about some of the stuff that I did experience in Wuthering Waves for anybody who has never really played it and might be curious on like what it's about, how it feels, etc. etc. Um, all in all, I thought it was pretty fun. Believe it or not, I actually thought it was pretty fun. If you're looking for a game that you actually want to put time into, and it's definitely gonna, require some of your time, I feel like that game would definitely work. Outside of just finding something to put time into, um, I thought the exploration was really nice. Everything looks super cool. It's got the same, from what I can remember, mechanics as Genshin. You can climb. There's like a stamina bar for when you climb. You can. Sorry about that. I am back. Outside of the stamina bar when you climb, there's also this mechanic where like you can glide, right? You can see in the video you're gliding. It's actually pretty cool. I think you could do the same in Genshin as well. But there was something that kind of shocked me, kind of surprised me. It was like this fly mechanic where you can actually take off into the sky. And when you take off into the sky, you kind of like glide, but kind of fly, right? It's the controls feel super weird to me. I was trying to change it so that I could invert them because usually when you play games that allow you to run on 2 feet and or fly, whenever you fly, the controls are inverted. But I couldn't really find anything just right then and there while playing. So I decided not to make a big deal about it and just figure out how to do it without the inverted controls. And while like messing around with everything, it did feel pretty cool to be able to just fly around. Um, I'm not gonna lie, when I was first using it, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna hate this. Like this mechanic is going to get so annoying, especially if I have to do it often. But before I knew it, I found myself utilizing it heavy. There's like this grappling mechanic where you can like grapple around to certain key points around the area. It just helps you get around a little quicker. And because I was a new player coming in, they offered this strange like free roll where you could pick um, like a temporary, I guess, legendary character to be on your team, and that was super fun to be able to use them. I think they run out in like 3 days of getting them, and because I haven't been on the game in like probably a week, maybe a week and a half now, they're probably going to be gone when I get back on. But they do have this other thing that's going on where like you can have a special pull for a legendary character, and that's like permanent until you pull that legendary. And you get to pick which legendary character, and you just keep saving up whatever until you can keep pulling and get your hands on that character, which I thought was really cool too. So those things I thought were just super nice to see in a game. My friend said when he first started playing, the first thing he pulled was a legendary character. That was not my luck, but then again, I started like a year after him. So I don't know what all has changed in a year's time in terms of like the game's time frame. But yeah, other than those basic movement mechanics, there was this thing that they added with the birthday system. So if it's your birthday, I guess you put in your birthday, and if it is the day of your birthday, I guess they give you some special stuff. But if it's not, and or if it's already passed, then they give you some items that I guess will carry over um, into like your mailbox or your inbox or something, and you can use said items to kind of, I guess, help you progress. That part was a little confusing to me, so I didn't do too much with it in that regard. But all in all, that's really just been the introduction to the game for me. Outside of that, the combat was pretty cool. I've always liked the idea of being able to fight as a character and then swap over to the other character mid combo, right? It's kind of like your four characters in one, and you can utilize different combos and mechanics that way. I believe Genshin also played that way, but when I was playing with friends, while playing with Genshin, I guess they limited how many characters you could swap to, so it was just never something I did heavy at the time. But experiencing it in Wuthering Waves felt pretty cool. The combat was also like pretty fluid, I would say. Whenever you like fought, you had these different kind of combos that you could achieve, and especially when you like mix and match characters, the combos kind of extended, and you had like ultimates for each character. But when you used an ultimate on one character, it did not use it for all of your characters, which I thought was also super cool. The game also gives you, on an unrelated note, the option to change from being like female to male or male to female, I guess, at damn near any time, which is super cool. So if for whatever reason you feel like you don't really like your choice, you can go back and change. In terms of customizing your character, as far as I know, it's not like a create your own character from scratch type of thing. You just start with like a template of either a guy and or a girl, which I thought was kind of lame because these games have such like a cool system. You would think that they would have a little bit more creation in that regard, but usually from what I see, even if you are like the main character, you're supposed to follow a specific model. So it is what it is. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I could actually talk about in regards to the game. Like I said, oh man, cutscenes. Sweet lord. If you really want to know about the lore of the game tells you like everything, right? If you're patient and you're really just trying to learn everything and you sit and you talk and you listen to everything, then you will for sure be tapped in and get it all. And I mean, it's super great if you're like super into lore and you want to learn about all the characters and how everything works. Yeah, that for sure is sick. But if you're like, uh, if you really just want to get through the game so that you can access a certain part of the game, say Cyberpunk Edge Runners, um, yeah, the cutscenes are gonna feel. I've heard somebody use the term recently. I believe the term is slog. It's gonna feel long. It's going to feel boring. It's gonna feel tiring. Don't get me wrong. Some of the cutscenes are actually really beautiful, and of course they're pretty informative. But like some of them are actually really nice. I'm like, yo, you could make like the next K-pop Demon Hunters with this kind of engine, right? But all in all, when I'm like trying to get somewhere and get something done, and just being like force fed story after story after story, and I think the term is exposition, where everybody's telling you every little thing about the world and how everything works and blah 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 constantly. It's like, I just want to get to this specific part of the game. I don't care about any of this stuff, man. So yeah, that would be something that I wasn't a huge fan of. I will admit there was one cutscene that I thought was actually super cool. It's like this guy, and this guy, he's got like red hair, and he tells like this story about like a wolf. No, sheep. It was sheep being herded by like an evil shepherd, and one of the black sheep stood out to try to save the sheep, and I think was murdered. And then over time, the normal sheep, the white sheep, started realizing that they should have listened to the black sheep, and everybody started banding together. I think to take back their land and their bodies away from the shepherd, but I'm not entirely sure how everything kind of moved on from there because that's around the time that I was finishing. But the cutscene of that I thought was really nice, right? So yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything so far. If there's anything that I could change in regards to the game, I don't know. I'd say maybe like some kind of option to skip story, not necessarily campaign, but have it so that all cutscenes are like auto skipped, or all conversations are like auto skipped, or you know, just auto complete tutorials. You know, give us like an option to pick or choose. It's like, oh, are you here for the lore or not? And then like if you choose no, you like there's some journal or book or something that you can go back and like rewatch all the cinematics and whatnot in order like one giant movie so you can understand it. I think at a time I think I had like a quest where I had to like go talk to somebody, and a person was literally right beside me, and I had like turned around to talk to them, and then boom, it was another cutscene, and that was right after a cutscene that had just finished. And I was like, bro, I get that you got to like start an event in order to like have this conversation spark. But man, oh my gosh, it was like every time a cutscene came on, I was ready to just turn my computer off. I was at my wits end with everything that was going down. I was not enjoying it. But you know, maybe one day I'll get back into the game, get a little deeper, and see what all like the game has to offer more. Who knows? Maybe I'll run into some friend or somebody who be willing to actually farm and play through with me and teach me things. Or maybe one day I'll start streaming it. You never really know. But all in all, I'd say the gameplay is pretty top notch. It's pretty cool. You get to like capture the souls of like certain enemies you defeat, and I guess you use them as summons in combat. That's like one of your alternate moves, and I think it's really cool, but it's also kind of confusing because at one point I couldn't put the summon on a certain character, and then the summon came back for that character, and I don't think you can just capture any soul of anything living. I think it's like certain things have like indicators for you to capture their soul, and I'm not entirely sure how like the EXP works in this game, or even if there is any EXP. I know you can level up your character and your weapons the same way you could with Genshin, where you like sacrifice materials. But I think account EXP is probably something where you have to run a bunch of missions and whatnot. I'm just, I don't know, man. I was on long enough. All right, I was fed up. But yeah, that's my experience running Wuthering Waves and trying it out. So peace.